A couple of years ago, a friend and I thought we'd scored the ideal campsite in southern Utah. The spot was called the Young Women's Group Camp. Group areas that can handle around 100 people. When we rolled in, we noticed a trailer, an ATV, a generator, and a pickup already parked in the lot. Neither of us felt like mingling, so I stared to the far end of the clearing, well away from their setup. We tucked our belongings and sleeping bags into the brush near the picnic tables and grills. From most angles, you can only see my car. Just as we were about to walk over to a sunset viewpoint, a truck tore into the loop, sped straight towards us, then swung back and parked beside the trailer. You can tell a lot by the way someone drives. And this guy radiated fury. He climbed out, marched over, and barked that we had to leave immediately. I asked why. The campground was closed, yes, but it was a group site and we weren't bothering anybody. That only made him angrier. He claimed he was law enforcement and said the area belonged to him and his group. I asked to see a reservation slip, knowing full well there couldn't be one since the place was shut down. He kept repeating that it was a single group site and his group was it. I told him that we planned to leave first thing in the morning anyways. At that, he flashed a badge and a holstered .40 cal, then hurled my day pack aside. I had a concealed carry permit, but I kept my own weapon out of sight and my eyes locked on his face as he stepped into my space. Later, my buddy told me the man had not only shown the pistol, but kept gripping it. I'm grateful I didn't notice that detail at the time. My friend, standing a couple of feet away from me, talked me down and thought we should pack up right then. He said he had no desire to spend the night anywhere near this guy. On the drive out, I lusted over revenge fantasies, cutting generator cables, flattening tires, but my buddy talked sense into me, thankfully. Back in Salt Lake City, I went to the police department to verify the badge and make a complaint on his aggressive behavior. I'll never forget the blank stare the receptionist gave me once he told me that the person with the given information was nowhere to be found in the system. Puzzled at first, I had no idea what he meant until I realized that we were ambushed by a fake cop, an impersonator. My stomach sank as we came very close to an armed man whose intentions were very clear. At the end of all of this, I'm happy I was able to walk away alive. About 20 years ago, my wife and I teamed up with one guy friend and one girlfriend for a weekend camp out on my buddy's family land. The property covers roughly 160 acres, split among his grandparents' farm, his parents' 40 acres, and another 40 that belongs to an uncle. We parked beside the barn, a far distance from the roadway, and chose a flattish patch of grass about 50 yards from the gravel. A line of trees edged the road there. You could barely see headlights from the branches, but the trunks gave great cover. The four of us squeezed into a 6-person tent and chatted until 11, then decided to call it a night. Sometime after midnight, I jolted awake to tires crunching slowly over gravel. A vehicle rolled to a stop just beyond the trees. From inside the tent, I heard 2 men, angry, maybe arguing, and then the sound of a car trunk popping open. They were shuffling, more harsh voices, and suddenly a woman's voice. No clear scream, just panicked, whimpering, sobbing. I never did anything. Please, can we just go home now? An icy wave of dread washed over me, heart pounding. I lay perfectly still, barely breathing, praying that they would not notice our tent. Half asleep a moment earlier, I was now laser focused on every sound, trying to decide if whatever was happening would spill over to us. Because we often do target practice out there, I brought my concealed weapon with me. I inched a hand to my side, wrapped my fingers around the grip, and held it tight against my chest beneath my sleeping bag. After what felt like forever, really, maybe a minute, the trunk slammed shut. A burst of cursing, doors slamming, and the car pulling away, gravel popping under the tires until the sound faded completely. I stayed frozen. Another 15, maybe 30 minutes, ears listening for any sound before I finally let myself relax. No one else said a word in the tent. Eventually, I drifted back to sleep and woke up to dawn light, damp grass, bird song, the whole natural, normal morning scene. That moment when everyone woke up, I blurted, "Did you guys hear that last night?" All three of them said they had. We each described the same sequence: angry male voices, a crying woman, trunk noises, and that same gut feeling that something was very wrong just beyond the cedars. Ever since, I've replayed 1,000 what ifs. What if she needed help? Could I have stepped in? I had a firearm, but what if they were armed too? And it turned out into something worse, getting us all hurt. We searched the gravel road for any sign of what went down. Nothing. No tire marks, no dropped items, no answers. Just that seared-in memory of lying in the dark, heartbeat thundering, convinced real evil was just 50 yards away. It was the summer of 2021 when my husband and I snagged what we thought was the ultimate camping spot. The site sat right on the sand, with the lake only a few steps from our tent, and the nearest campers were so far away, it felt like we had the whole place to ourselves. A total dream at first. Anyone who spent a night in rural Wyoming knows how absolute the darkness gets once the sun drops. The silence is just as complete. No street lights, no distant traffic, only the crackle of our fire. We were admiring that stillness when an SUV with pitch black windows rolled down the dirt track and onto our loop. The driver eased towards us. My husband lifted a hand, ready to offer help if they were lost. They ignored him, continued past, parked at the shoreline for about 5 minutes, then pulled a U-turn and rumbled back the way they'd come. The moment their taillights disappeared, my husband whispered that something felt off. He shone his flashlight towards the beach, convinced that someone might have slipped out to watch us from the dark. Without another word, we packed everything at record speed, tossed our gear into the car, and slammed the doors shut. That's when that same SUV roared into the loop again. The instant its headlights caught our bumper, it lunged after us. The back roads are rough. Washboards, potholes, wandering elk, but we had no choice. My husband glanced at me. "I've got to drive fast. You good?" I told him to push it. We tore through twisting dirt lanes and a narrow canyon, our speed hovering near 80 miles an hour. The SUV clung to us for what felt like forever, probably 10 minutes before its headlights finally vanished in the rearview mirror once we cleared the canyon. Neither of us will forget that drive. We still wonder what might have happened if we shrugged it off, that uneasy feeling, and stayed put. And for anyone who thinks we overreacted, we tried being friendly, and the driver barreled past us without saying a word. That was the first red flag. The site was isolated. You just can't hop over to other loops without circling the lake. If someone parks beside you for 5 minutes and then leaves, then returns the moment you start your engine, you trust your gut. We did, and it probably saved us.